Hello, story lovers, and welcome back to the channel. Today we delve into a tale shrouded in shadow and bound by blood, a legend whispered on the moors for centuries, the Blood Oath of Ravensmoor. It's a story about how a single desperate act can echo through time, chaining a family to a darkness they can neither understand nor escape. So dim the lights, get comfortable, and let's journey to the desolate, windswept estate of Ravensmoor. Our story begins not with a curse, but with a promise. In the late 17th century, the Ravensmoor estate was on the brink of collapse. The lands were barren, the coffers empty, and Lord Alistair Ravenswood was a desperate man. His family, once proud and powerful, faced ruin and starvation. One stormy night, as the wind howled like a hungry wolf, Alistair rode out onto the moors, seeking not a miracle, but a bargain. Legend says he called out to the old powers, the ancient entities that slumbered beneath the heather and stone, and something answered. It was a creature of shadow and whispers, a being that offered Alistair a deal, unimaginable wealth, fertile lands, and a legacy that would never fade. In return, the price was simple yet terrible, a pact sealed not with ink but with blood. Alistair, seeing no other way to save his family, agreed. He drew his own blood, and with it signed his family's fate. The Blood Oath of Ravensmoor was forged. Immediately, fortune smiled upon the Ravenswoods. Gold seemed to spring from the earth, their crops grew unnaturally tall and fast, and their influence spread like wildfire. Ravensmoor Manor was rebuilt, grander than ever, its dark stone towers piercing the often grey sky. But as the years turned into decades, a chilling pattern began to emerge. Every firstborn of the Ravenswood line was different. They were born with eyes as dark as a starless night and a strange melancholic disposition. They were brilliant, charismatic, yet possessed a coldness that unnerved those around them. The locals began to whisper. They said the Ravenswood firstborns were not entirely human. They spoke of shadowy figures seen flitting through the halls of the manor at midnight, of strange rituals conducted during the new moon, and of a feeling of constant, oppressive watchfulness that hung over the entire estate. The pact, it seemed, had a hidden clause. The creature Alistair had bargained with hadn't just given them wealth. It had claimed a piece of their lineage, intertwining its own dark essence with theirs. Generations passed and the oath held firm. The Ravenswoods remained prosperous, but the darkness within their bloodline deepened. Each heir was more reclusive, more enigmatic than the last. They were masters of finance, politics, and art, yet they moved through the world like ghosts, their hearts untouched by warmth or genuine joy. The family became a dynasty of beautiful, haunted figures, forever bound to the shadow that had saved them. They were prisoners in their own gilded cage, living out the consequences of their ancestors' desperate choice. The true nature of the oath was a closely guarded secret, passed down from one heir to the next on their 21st birthday. It was a somber ceremony where the heir would learn that their success, their very life force, was tied to the ancient entity. They were not merely descendants. They were its anchors in the mortal world. To break the oath would mean not just the loss of their fortune, but the complete and utter annihilation of their family line as the creature reclaimed the life it had sustained for so long. Our focus now shifts to the present day and to the latest heir, Elara Ravenswood. Unlike her predecessors, Elara was not raised in the cold, imposing halls of Ravensmoor. Her mother, in a desperate act of rebellion, had fled the estate while pregnant, determined to give her daughter a normal life far from the family's shadow. Elara grew up unaware of her lineage, a bright, compassionate young woman living in a bustling city, her life filled with friends and sunlight. The darkness of Ravensmoor was a world away, but blood will always call to blood. On her 21st birthday, a solicitor arrived with a letter revealing her true identity and the vast inheritance that awaited her. More than that, it summoned her to Ravensmoor. Confused but intrigued, Elara traveled to the estate she never knew. The moment she stepped onto the grounds, she felt it, a cold, possessive energy that seemed to recognize her, to welcome her home. The manor itself felt alive, its shadows seeming to reach for her, its silence filled with unspoken words. That night, in the ancient library, her estranged great-uncle, the current custodian of the family, secret revealed the terrible truth of the blood oath. He showed her the ancient texts, the portraits of her ancestors with their hauntingly dark eyes, and explained the pact that had defined their existence for over 3 centuries. Elara was horrified. She saw not a gift but a monstrous chain, the wealth, the power, it was all built on a foundation of darkness that had stolen the humanity. From her family, Elara refused to accept this fate. She didn't want the fortune, and she would not be another puppet for the shadow entity. She dedicated herself to finding a way to break the oath. She spent her days and nights poring over the forbidden books in the Ravensmoor library, searching for a loophole, a counter-ritual, any sliver of hope. She learned that the creature fed on the family's ambition and prosperity. The more they thrived, the stronger its hold became. The entity did not take kindly to her defiance. The manor grew more hostile. Unseen hands would slam doors, whispers would follow her down corridors, and terrifying nightmares plagued her sleep, showing her visions of her family-ease line being extinguished in fire and ruin if she dared to proceed. The shadow was fighting back, trying to break her spirit and force her into submission, just as it had with every heir before her, but Elara was different. She had known a life outside the pact, a life of freedom and light. That memory gave her a strength her ancestors never had. She discovered a potential solution, a dangerous and nearly impossible ritual that could sever the connection. It required a willing sacrifice not of life, but of the very thing the pact had granted, the family's entire fortune and legacy. She would have to willingly return everything, to embrace the ruin that Lord Alistair had so desperately tried to avoid. On the anniversary of the original pact, under a stormy sky just like the one all those centuries ago, Elara stood on the moors where it all began. She performed the counter-ritual, renouncing the wealth, the manor, and the Ravenswood name. She offered the creature a choice: take back its gifts and release her family, or fade into nothingness as their line willingly embraced obscurity. As she spoke the final words, a terrifying, shadowy form rose from the earth, its anger a palpable force. For a moment it seemed it would destroy her, but then a strange thing happened. The creature hesitated. Perhaps it sensed her unbreakable will, or perhaps after centuries of a symbiotic bond, a sliver of something akin to respect had formed. With a final, sorrowful howl that echoed across the moors, the shadow receded, pulling the unnatural vitality from the land with it. The grand manor of Ravensmoor crumbled into dust, the vaults turned to lead, and the name Ravenswood was erased from the annals of the powerful. Elara was left with nothing but the clothes on her back, standing alone on the now barren moor. But for the first time in generations, a Ravenswood was truly free. Her eyes, once shadowed with inherited darkness, now reflected the breaking dawn. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey to Ravensmoor. It's a powerful reminder of how the choices of the past can shape the future, and the courage it takes to break free from a dark legacy. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more tales from the shadows. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Elara's choice. Until next time, stay curious.